Alright, y'all. Today we're gonna be doing our first reaction video. So it is gonna be on her story. Go sub. There you go. If there's any ads, we'll just skip it. Okay.
Pulled into a sketchy gas station in the middle of nowhere, and the entire cheer squad poured out like we'd been caged for a week. My friend Kayla sniffed herself. I can't believe we have to travel in our cheer uniforms. I bet football players don't have to deal with this. I was scanning for
They
road
probably
signs,
don't,
and I
blood.
noticed an old man sitting on a bench outside the front window. He was watching us. His eyes moved from girl to girl like he was taking attendance. Our coach, Ms. Adler, walked right up to him and asked, "Hello there. Do you happen to have directions to the Topeki
Don't
Teamwork
just
Summer Camp?"
Don't
He
just
slowly looked up at her and spit on the ground. Go
guy
back the way we came and turn right at the yellow scarecrow,
sketchy.
not the
That
blue
looks
one. You'll see
sketchy
it
or
further
is
down their road.
sketchy.
Ms. Adler
Oh.
clasped her hands. Thank you so much, kind sir. Then he added, "The land up there takes what it's owed." Ms. Adler laughed it off, patted his shoulder, and walked back to the bus smiling. "What an interesting man," she said as she walked by. Kayla whispered in my ear,
My bad if
"Is
you
that
guys
Memphis
can't hear
Princess?"
it.
I snorted and headed back to the bus, but when I looked back, his eyes were locked directly onto mine. I looked away first and rushed back onto the bus. The bus wound up the mountain. The road narrowed and the cell towers disappeared.
Minecraft.
Kayla pulled a switchblade from her jacket and flipped it open against her knee.
Why
I
does
looked
that
around
look
to make sure no
plastic?
one saw. Kayla,
Because
you
it's
know
an
weapons aren't
animation.
allowed. She tucked it back. "I'm going to the middle of nowhere with a bunch of people who can't even change a tire. You're welcome." 2 rows behind us, Brianna and Jess were doing a terrible job of whispering.
Brianna.
"My boyfriend Tyler is driving up tonight after lights out to meet with me." Jess gasped.
You
"No
do not
freaking
want to
way."
know what
Hannah,
happens
sitting
to
ahead of us,
him.
held her freshly painted
Yeah.
nails out the window
Let's
to
just
dry.
say that one.
Dripping neon pink polish hid everything in a 3-foot radius.
Of course, it
As I
has
passed
to
the
be
small town
neon.
we passed, I noticed a hand-painted welcome sign.
It's
nailed
always
to a wall.
neon.
A weird
That
symbol
looks
was painted on it.
sketchy.
A circle with lines
You
radiating
think?
inward, like a sun collapsing into
That
itself.
is
I
sketchy.
stared until it was behind us. The campgrounds looked like it hadn't been updated since before my grandparents were born. Wooden cabins formed a half circle around a fire pit. An open
Just
field had knee-high grass you could get lost in. The only cool thing was the rusted archery range with targets mounted on hay bales that were falling apart. Hannah pressed her face against the bus window. "Please tell me those targets are for us. I've been dying to shoot something all summer." Devin turned to her.
Are you
"Summer
sure?
started last week, Hannah." "Whatever. I called dibs on the first shot." 5 counselors stood waiting by the fire pit. All men. All smiling
Why
with
all
every
men,
tooth
though?
showing. The
Flashlight.
head counselor stepped forward. His skin looked like it had been left in the sun for years. "Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You are going to have the time of your lives." Hannah didn't wait half a second. "Do you even brush your teeth? They're so yellow. Are there bathrooms here? Because I'm not squatting behind a tree for a week." Half the team burst out laughing. The counselor's smile didn't drop, but his eyes narrowed. Then he laughed and gestured for us to follow. The cabins had screen doors, no locks, and mattresses that looked like they'd survived a flood. Another counselor pointed
They
out,
have.
"Woods go on for
Like,
miles in every direction.
literally.
Don't wander off alone or something might get
Tell me
nasty
how y'all
right
like
after
my
you." He winked. None of us
my
smiled.
Fortnite video.
Once
That was
inside the
peak.
cabin, I
I'm so
pulled out my
good at
phone.
bro.
1 bar,
I'm so
then
good at
none,
Fortnite.
then one again. Kayla checked her phone. No signal, no data, nothing. She tossed her phone on the mattress. Guess we're roughing it. I fell back onto my bed and eventually fell asleep to the sound of bugs and branches scraping the roof. Suddenly,
How
a
do you
hand
fall
shook my
asleep to
shoulder,
that?
and I opened my eyes to no sunlight.
Oh
A
no,
girl stood over me,
gingling.
flashlight trembling, mascara smeared. "Hannah is missing." We searched the woods for hours. Our flashlights shone into endless trees that swallowed the beams with
Alright, we back.
and I opened my eyes to no sunlight. A girl stood over me, flashlight trembling, mascara smeared. "Hannah is missing." We searched the woods for hours. Our flashlights shone into endless trees that swallowed the beams with darkness 20 feet out. The counselors kept
20
steering us
feet?
whenever we got too far. "Try this way. Stay in pairs." After 3 hours of finding nothing, the head counselor waved us all over to regroup. "We'll pick it back up at first light. Everyone back to your cabins."
What
Ms.
does
Adler
first
squeezed
light?
my arm on the
Oh.
way back. I'm
Yeah,
sure she
first light
finds
means
me. She probably found a warm spot and fell asleep. I looked at her face and could tell she believed her own words. I laid in my bed for hours,
That makes no
unable to
sense.
fall asleep. A scream cut through the air before the sun cleared the ridge. I was out of my bunk and running barefoot toward the archery range. My cheer squad members were stopping one by one ahead of me. Each one froze in place. Then I did the exact same thing. Hannah was pinned to the center of the archery
Oh
target. Her
shoot!
head hung forward and her hair covered her face. Her neon pink nail polish caught the early morning sun. The girl next to me dropped to her knees in the grass. screaming started and didn't stop. Cheer members grabbed each other. The boys held about 3 crying girls each. Ms. Adler's hand covered her mouth and stayed there. One boy said, "We need to leave. Right now. Let's get on the bus." Suddenly, we were turning, retreating from the corpse of our friend and teammate. My legs were already moving when the counselor stepped forward, blocking our path. The head counselor held up his hand.
Why?
"Everyone, listen to me. We just got word that cell towers in this area are completely down, and there's been a rock slide on the access road overnight. The only way off this mountain is blocked until an emergency crew can clear it."
I already
We
know
paused
they
and scanned
killed
our
her.
faces. We've already radioed for help. It's
Wait,
on
can
the
I
way.
say that?
For now, everyone
No.
needs to stay calm and stay together. This is the safest place for you. Everyone pulled out their phones at the same time. One girl said, "Why don't I have any bars?" Another cried, "With no way to call home. Call the police."
Was no way to
anyone.
call
What do we
home.
do? Ms. Adler stepped in front of the group.
If there's no
She
way
put
to
her
call
arm around the
home,
nearest
you can't
crying
call
girl and raised her
anything.
voice. The counselors are trained for situations like this.
Are you
Help
sure?
is coming. We need to trust the
Are
process.
you sure?
She looked at the counselors with complete, unquestioning faith. I looked at the counselors with the complete opposite look. The counselors insisted on splitting us into smaller groups across different cabins. For safety. Everyone called.
What do you mean
Pointed in
safety?
different directions. Some of us resisted, holding on to one another like a life preserver. However, they got their way. I ended up in a cabin with Kayla, Devin, and Lisa. The 4 of us sat on our bunks in silence until Kayla pulled me to the corner. She pressed something into my hand, her switchblade, just in case, she whispered. "What about you?" She held up an even bigger switchblade and smirked. "You didn't think I would
Humongous. Oh.
I tucked her coat into the waistband
Oh,
of my
I
cheer skirt
too,
and pulled my
when you
shirt over
have
it.
one.
Thanks, Kayla. We hugged and were terrified of letting go. The day dragged on. The counselors brought us food. Canned soup and bread that tasted like it had been stored underground for months.
Y'all, I
They
think
smiled and
you
said,
should not.
"Don't worry, help
Is
is on the way."
that-
The moment the sun set,
that
the
what
counselors
you
stopped
should
by our
not
cabin to
trust?
deliver the worst news. One of your fellow teammates,
Look at
Andrew,
the hands.
wandered off toward the creek.
I know, look, wait.
He left before the
Hold
counselors
up, guys.
came back.
We just found something out.
Yeah. It's about like right
For
there.
months.
Watch
She smiled
his
and said,
hands.
"Don't
Hold
worry,
up.
help
Watch
is
his
on the way."
hands.
The moment the sun set, the counselor stopped by our cabin to deliver the worst news.
Look,
One of
look.
your fellow teammates, Amber,
What is that?
wandered off toward the creek.
On
We're
his
looking for her
right
now.
hand.
He
His
left
right
before we
hand.
could ask
Is
a
that
single
red
question.
something that we should not say out loud?
Crazy.
Stared at one another in horror. The next morning, the counselor came back. "Unfortunately, 2 more from your squad are gone. They snuck out during
Too
the
bright.
night. Happens every year. Scared kids try to walk home. We'll find them. Don't worry." He
Why would
smiled,
they try to
showing his
walk
yellow
home
teeth.
when they're
I
like
noticed his
thousands
shirt
of
had a
miles
dark stain
away?
near the collar. He noticed me
I
staring
know.
and buttoned his jacket over it. The moment he walked out, Devin leaned into me. "Nobody who wanders off comes back. This is super weird." I nodded my head, agreeing. "We need to talk to Ms. Adler." Lisa stepped forward. "But they won't just let us out." I grabbed Kayla's hand.
But they won't just
"Can you
let us
distract
out.
them long enough for me to sneak out?" She smiled and winked. "Leave it to me." 10 minutes later, Kayla was crying hysterically in the arms of the counselor guarding our door, and I was hopping out the window. I found Ms. Adler in the mess hall. She was alone, tearing a piece of bread into smaller and smaller pieces and not eating any of them.
Why?
I sat down beside her.
We're
The
safe.
girls
We're
are
not safe. We're
disappearing,
safe.
and
We're not safe.
nobody knows about it. The counselors are lying. We need to get the rest of the girls and run. She put her hands on my shoulders. "These are trained professionals, sweetheart. I know it's scary, but we have to trust the system." I looked at her, then pulled away and walked out. I had to crouch by the back wall of a cabin, holding my phone at weird angles trying to catch a single bar of signal. Voices carried from the cabin next door caught my attention. 2 counselors were talking, so I inched forward to hear them better. I
Is
got
that
blood
the
on my
same
damn
red
jacket again. My eyes widened.
substance?
From which
again?
one? A
Uh-huh.
mouthy from the first night. Glad she went first. She had a mouth on her that wouldn't quit. The land doesn't care about manners. No, but I do. They both laughed. I covered my mouth with my hands, and my phone slipped out, landing in the dirt. I pressed my back against the wall and held my breath. After 5 minutes
That's
of not breathing,
crazy.
I grabbed my phone and tiptoed away.
What
I
type
climbed
of
back through the
lungs
window
does
and
she
found Kayla,
have?
Devin, and Lisa with
Bro, how do you hold your breath for that long like it's nothing? Huh?
What type of lungs? Actually.
I know you're a cheerleader, but like, how you do that, gang?
Do you live in
I
the
told them
Do
everything
you
I
live
learned.
in the
Lisa
moon?
collapsed onto the ground and put her knees to her chest. How many of us are left? I
All my another eye. All right, we're back.
on my fingers. maybe 9 or 10, spread across 4 cabins. Devin started pacing. The archery range had tools in the storage box by the targets. I saw a hatchet during the tour.
Why?
Kayla ran over to her bag and pulled out
How did you see a
then
hatchet?
started
Ying?
sketching a map of the campgrounds. If we go through the tree line behind the mess hall, it connects to the access road about a mile out. Lisa looked over. What about the rock slide? I frowned. I doubt it's real. If it is, then we climb over it. If it's a lie, we can drive to safety. Lisa started crying. What if they catch us? How can we get a car? Oh my God, we're all going to die. Kayla looked at me. I touched the switchblade in my waistband. I walked over and put my hand on Lisa's shoulder. Then we die fighting. We're cheerleaders. No one's going to snuff out our spirit. Lisa took a deep breath and nodded slowly. We waited until 2 a.m. when it was pitch black out. We slipped out the back window, one at a time, and moved low through the grass. Devin tapped on the next cabin's glass. 2 girls appeared at the glass.
Why is Gio at his house?
Devin
Oh, shoot, I was
expertly
not
gave me a
supposed to-
foothold so I could silently tumble through and land inside the cabin. I quickly whispered everything we knew to them, as well as my plan. They joined us without hesitation, sneaking out the same window. Devin split off toward the archery range while we collected the next cabin, who had 3 more. One of them started crying. The
All
second
of
we
y'all
went.
need a lock
Kayla
in
grabbed her
for
face with both hands. You can cry when we're safe. Right now, you move. The
So
girl
just
nodded
kiss
and climbed
me.
through the window. Devin came back over with the hatchet in one hand and his face drained of color. Hannah's gone, he whispered. The target she was on. She's not there anymore. All that's left is a pool of blood. I looked toward the range, but couldn't see much further than our small group in the dark. Lisa
Small
held her
group,
mouth.
of
What
course.
did they do with her body? One of the girls started breathing fast. Do you think they buried her? Or did they? Kayla grabbed both their
They
arms.
ate her.
We're not doing this right now. We need to move, or we end up on one of those targets too. 9
Whew, that's crazy.
Behind the mess hall toward the tree line. The woods were 30 feet away. 20, 10. A flashlight snapped on behind us. Hey, what are you doing out here? We ran. The tree line swallowed us. Branches tore at my arms and my face and my legs. My hair got caught in a branch, but I kept running. Behind us, flashlights clicked on and voices shouted, "They went into the woods! Get them, idiots!" A counselor crashed through the brush and grabbed Devin by the backpack. He was pulled back and slammed into the ground face first. The hatchet went flying and landed near Lisa, who picked it up and ran at the counselor who was standing over Devin. Lisa swung and the
Ooh,
blade
how's that?
He
How do you
screamed
not?
and stumbled away. Devin
How could you
scrambled
not
up and
hit
grabbed the hatchet
anything
with one
else?
hand and Lisa's hand in the other. We kept running. However, the thick forest hid our view of one another, and the group fractured. Pairs split left, trios split right. I heard screaming behind me, then a squelching sound, then only my breath as I ran and ran. I ran until every direction looked the same. I stopped behind a thick tree and pressed my back against the bark. My lungs burned. I pressed my hand
Dang,
over
there's
my
some
mouth,
big
felt my
trees.
breathing, and listened. I heard footsteps and crouched lower. That's when my knee pressed into something soft. I looked down and wanted to cry. My knee had touched a body. I scrambled backward into another tree. It was a boy who went to my college. I could tell from his school sweatshirt. Then I recognized him as Tyler, Brianna's boyfriend.
Tyler.
At the man who snuck in for a romantic rendezvous. I pinched my arm, trying to shock myself out of it. I spotted
Why?
his phone in his jacket pocket and pulled it out with shaking hands. No signal,
Why?
but a sliver of battery. I scrolled to his music app, propped the phone against a tree root, cranked the volume to max, and ran fast in the opposite direction. Music echoed through the silent woods. Flashlight beams swung toward the sound like moths. I kept moving until trees thinned, and I found a small cabin set back from a dirt path. I pushed the door open and stepped inside. My eyes were still adjusting when something hit the back of my head and the floor came up to meet me. I opened my eyes and saw dirt underneath me.
What
Goosebumps
hit her
arose on my
back of
skin.
the
My
head?
hands were bound behind
Probably
the back
like,
of the rope, and I was laying
I don't know, a
in where
hammer.
6 other cheerleaders sat beside me, bound the same way. Kayla was on my left. Her eye was swollen shut, and her lip was split. Blood had dried on her chin. Devin
What
was across from her,
happened?
still unconscious.
I don't
Lisa
know.
sat next to him, willing Devin to wake up with her eyes. There were only 7 of us left. I sat up and looked around. We were in a clearing surrounded by trees so tall they blocked the stars. Torches burned in a wide circle around us, their flames hissing and spitting in the mountain air. At the center of the circle stood a stone altar. It looked older than anything on this mountain. Moss grew up the sides, and the base was stained dark in ways I didn't want to think about. Carved into the face of the stone was a symbol, a circle with lines radiating inward. I thought about the symbol I saw on the
It looks
town
like the
when
sun.
we first drove in. I looked further away from us and saw every person I'd encountered since we arrived. They stood around the torches, the counselors with their two wide smiles, the gas station man from the bench who still hadn't blinked, townspeople I'd only glimpsed through the bus window when we drove in. There were 30, maybe 40 of them, all standing around, staring at us like a roach you found in your tub. The gas station man stepped forward. He looked directly at me. The land takes what it's owed. The head counselor walked to the altar and placed both hands on the stone. His too wide smile was gone. Every year, the mountain calls for a large sacrifice, and we answer. A group arrives willingly. We welcome them. We show them a good time. I almost laugh at his definition of a good time. He paused. Each night, one is given to the land, and on the final night, the rest are given together. He looked at us. This is the final night. Their chanting started low, a hum that built from the edges inward. The townspeople swayed. Torchlight flickered across their faces and stretched their shadows into the trees behind them. Kayla's shoulder pressed against mine. Her breathing was fast and shallow.
Oh
She
shoot,
smiled.
I'm way too.
I'm glad we're together.
Not gonna lie, this might be better than his story.
The other girls were shaking in terror. I worked my fingers behind my back and found the handle of the blade tucked into my waistband. I smirked, thinking, I guess they thought a teenage girl in a cheer skirt wasn't a threat. The chanting grew louder. Suddenly, an argument broke out near the altar. Two townspeople shoved each other. The head counselor stepped away from the stone to stand between them. A woman screamed at an older man. I think the man should go first. He's already waking up. The older man pointed at his broken nose. No way. The who broke my nose goes first. She needs to pay. I flipped the blade open and saw it, strand by strand. My wrists burned. Blood ran down my palms and made the handle slippery. Finally, the rope gave. My hand came free.
Bang bang
I had
chicken
one on my back.
gang.
I slowly
What
leaned into
made
Kayla.
it
She opened her
do
hands and
that?
The blade passed between us.
The
She cut
blade?
herself loose in seconds and passed it to Devin, who had finally woken up. Devin to Lisa. Lisa to the next girl. Down the circle, one by one, we passed the knife, while 40 people screamed at each other by the altar. Nobody looked at us. We sat perfectly still with our hands behind our backs. I whispered, once I give the signal, get to that truck over there.
What's
Lisa
the
looked at me.
signal?
What signal? 3 men were chest to chest by the altar. I bolted forward, grabbed
Ba ba ba
the
ba ba. Whoa, 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 whoa.
The dry cloth caught instantly. Flames climbed the stone and leapt to the
Wait,
wooden
why
frame
was it
holding the
laying
torches.
down?
The fire spread fast
What?
and hot, and the chanting
The-
collapsed into screaming. Their sacred altar was burning, and
Altar?
years of ritual was turning
No,
to
the-
ash. The
the-
others ran, and I
the
turned to
torch.
catch up with them. Devin made it to the truck
Oh,
first,
she
searching
she
around
set
for
it down on the
keys.
cloth.
The keys fell from the visor,
That's
and
why.
Devin
No,
shook them and
when
tried.
she picked it up, it was like
We
laying
piled in.
down.
Kayla sat on my lap. Lisa hopped
'Cause
in
she
the bed,
pulled it.
gripping the sides.
And then she
Devin
went
turned
to
the
go.
key, and the engine started at the first try. Devin drove the truck down the mountain in the dark, with only the headlights cutting through fog. The road curved and dropped and straightened out. Kayla looked around. I guess the rock slide was a lie. Behind
It
us,
Obviously.
an orange glow climbed into the sky. The
Oh, you
fire
mean
was
the
spreading,
fire?
consuming the campgrounds and soon the surrounding forest. I looked at everyone in the truck. Kayla next to me. Her eye was completely swollen shut now. Blood on her chin. Gripping the
Wow,
dashboard with
like
white
we
knuckles.
did here
Devin kept his
earlier.
eyes on the road, focused.
Why
But I
does
saw
it
how
look
2 of
like
his
a
fingers
demon?
were bent in the wrong way. Lisa
Once
hugged the other girls.
again, I have.
An entire cheer squad.
Is he
Only
like
we
turning
remained.
into a
I looked in
demon?
the rearview mirror one last time to watch the fire grow.
All right, it's done.
What?
Theo, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Missing posters for my sister when my phone buzzed in my pocket. I grabbed for it so fast I almost dropped it. Ava?
I will. Bye bye.